106.7, 11 minutes downside 8. Welcome to the ZUMA Big Talk this morning. And of course, you know that the ZUMA Big Talk is where we attempt to solve our problems as a nation and as a people. Now, they say that rights empower not just those who benefit, but those who uphold them. And the criminal justice system is like any system designed by human beings. It clearly has its flaws. We're going to take a look at a special report, okay, by PremiumTimesNG.com, where they speak about criminalization of petty offenses in Nigeria and how it violates the poor. It talks here about the enforcement of petty offenses, how the law targets the poor on many occasions, who on many occasions have no resources to hire the lawyers or the money to bribe the police. And here, if you go to PremiumTimesNG.com, you'll see that particular story where it talks about how Lagos resident Sikiru Ibrahim, who goes out daily to earn a living as a beggar, was picked up by he said he was picked up by a special task force team and was taken to Ikorodu, and they got there and were asked to pay 50,000. He said he was able to pay his with the help of people he called for assistance. However, after he paid the money, he was allowed to go, but those who were not able to pay the money or the fine were detained. Now, Mr. Ibrahim's case, according to this report, is not isolated, and according to what many of us do know, is not an isolated one. And many people still face such troubles of imprisonment, exorbitant fines, arrest and detention in different parts of Nigeria. Over the years, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, ACHPR, has raised concerns about the existence of vague, overly broad colonial-era national laws and petty offenses in many African countries. Lawrence, I don't even know where to start digging into this one from.
That's somewhere.
But then, Lawrence, a few years back, I recall reading an article on the criminal justice system in Nigeria, how what applies to those who society will call wealthy, is not what applies to those who society will call poor. In the sense that someone can steal billions and get to pay a few millions, to go away with. But then someone steals possibly maybe 10,000 and gets to pay maybe a fine of 50,000, and more importantly, sometimes he's even beaten. And then you see that now, this is not saying that if a person steals 10,000, they can't afford 50,000 fine. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. But then it is saying that if someone steals billions and is allowed to go for millions, and then someone steals 10,000 and is asked to pay about 50,000, or basically someone is loitering and they just pick him up and say, okay, you're going to pay a fine and all of that. That's where this report hit me. Why does it seem like the people who are less privileged in the society get the sledgehammer, while those who you call better off in the society, right, get a slap on the wrists? What do we need to do, and where have we gone wrong?
Kemi, first, it's not a Nigerian thing. Societies generally are skewed against the less privileged. That's the hard fact of life. Because the laws are written by the privileged, the laws are executed by the privileged, the laws are maintained by the privileged class, and so on and so forth. So from day one, from the beginning, it's skewed against people who are not as privileged as maybe the elite in the society. And so that's why you see cases of if two people are detained, the one that has enough resources will be given some privileges even in detention, as against the other person who cannot afford such privileges, or who does not have that background, financial or otherwise. So it's like that. But in the eyes of the law, ordinarily, everyone is supposed to be equal before the law. And that's how the law looks at people. The law does not distinguish between a poor person and a rich person. But it's the people who executed these laws people who are around the facilities of justice or courts or maybe the police stations and stuff like that. The individuals, the people are the ones who do this, but the law itself does not distinguish between a rich person and a poor person. Ordinarily, we know that there are some instances, maybe in form of legislations, and you say, why is this law like this? Why is this law like this?
Lawrence, this brings me to the issue of, don't forget, you can start calling now on 0818 22 22 205, 0818 22 22 205. Lawrence, this brings me to the issue of, for example, this man that was picked up in the Yoruba part of the country, we'll say Komoroga, right? This man that was picked up, perhaps if we have like victims agencies, we don't have many of that in Nigeria, where people can actually just go and lay a complaint. I was a victim, I was taken advantage of, I was just, because you see, once an agency like that exists, even the people who are packing them as roga, so to speak, will be more careful, because they know that, and such an agency has to be seamless. Thank God for the internet. It has to be something on the and this is $1 million idea that anyone who has the capability can latch onto. Right? The person can just lodge a complaint instantly on the internet. This and this happened, that and that happened, and that can be looked into as a way of checkmating some of these task forces.
Well, Kemi, yes, we have quite a number of NGOs around who are doing quite a lot.
I'm saying government, government.
Yes, Kemi, we are trying to look at how to shrink
the responsibilities of government, okay?
Instead of adding, because when you add another agency, you're going to, you know what it means now, directors and all those things, and before you know, running cost and everything. Ordinarily, if we have the resources, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that there are a lot of NGOs around who are doing fantastic jobs. It's just that many times we don't get to hear some of this their exploits. Although sometimes these exploits are restricted to the city centers, to the urban centers, and a lot of people in the hinterland do not have access to some of these things.
Well, 0818 22 22 205. How do we, make the criminal justice system in Nigeria more fair or fairer, so to speak? All right, to the poor and to the rich. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, Samuel.
I come again. Yeah, where you are asking about the solution on this.
Absolutely.
In the way we're growing up, we used to hear of this human rights activists, Gani, and even Falana. These are the people who normally go to prisons and get people out without even asking of anything from them. And moreover, we also have an agency like Legal Aid Council. But these days, nobody hears about them again. If you want to be popular, the best way for one to grow up as a young lawyer is to go to the prison, look for people whom their cases are not so serious, and get them out. But these days, because of the situation of Nigeria, nobody is caring about this thing again, because everybody wants to generate money. Everybody wants to get money. And so you don't want to do a charity work where you are not being paid. I think that's one of the solutions. We should encourage these people, these young lawyers, let them go to prisons and get these people out. Those who they know that their cases are not serious, or those who have challenges of 10,000 downward, can be sent to prison. Some are even kept in remand for so many years because of just little token.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Samuel, for proffering a solution to that. Lawrence, what's your take on that? I see that as a very good suggestion.
We're looking at the scale now. They're still doing that. Even the Legal Aid Council you mentioned, they are still doing some. But it's just that the cases, sometimes they're overwhelmed by some of these cases. And there are a lot of lawyers who take up pro bono cases, and they help some of these people.
This morning, during the Nigeria Go Better part of the show, and we were talking, I said something about Nigeria needing the average citizen's time, talent, treasures, and prayers, putting in something back into Nigeria. And that falls in tandem with what Samuel just said this morning. We need Nigerians who are selfless enough to just decide that, see, I want a better country and I want to do something about it. A young lawyer, you've been called to bar, fine, go to the police station. Excuse me, can I have the details of this? Of course, let your family know where you're going. Have... Lawrence, I don't know why you're laughing. Let's, as in, have a backer, send a letter to 1 or 2 people and say, okay, this is what I'm about to dedicate my life into doing. Go to the police station, speak to, if I were a lawyer, it's probably one of the kind of things I would like to do. Speak to these people behind bars.
You also need to earn a living.
Yes, I agree. But you see, many times I've found out that earning a living comes in the process of you doing what you love. Doing something you are extremely passionate about. We can't particularly say Gani Fahimi died a poor man, but that's how he started. We can't say that Femi, well, that's beyond the fact that, okay, anyways, let's leave that there. Okay, so the truth about it is that usually, and as with most things in life, when you give, you always get. It just may not be that is where you're giving that you will get. But if you give more of yourself, give more of your services, give more of your passion, do it as charity, whatever it is, you will get something in return. That I'm certain about.
I understand, Kemi. What I'm saying is that these things are on. It may not be on the scale that we want.
We need more.
There's hardly any senior lawyer today in Nigeria who do not devote some time for pro bono cases. And they take it up. A lot of these cases,
maybe more junior lawyers have to come in.
They take it off, and don't forget, the junior lawyers are yet to find their feet. They are trying to survive too, so they have to be very careful. You don't devote 70-80% of your time for pro bono cases. You need to survive first. You need to pay your children's school fees. When you're settled and then you can now decide to say, okay, let me give back something to the society.
Okay, I hear you. I don't know if I agree with you, but I hear you. Okay, it's 22 minutes downside. It's 22 minutes downside 8 o'clock, and the ZUMA Big Talk today. We've looked at the criminal justice system in Nigeria and how it seems to be skewed against the poor. And in trying to find solutions to this criminal justice system, we're looking at. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
David. Good morning.
everyone.
Fine, thank you.
Good morning, David.
Good morning, Mr. Lawrence. The solution to what these people are discovering is that they should look for capable people that that if they go there, they will not compromise. But so many lawyers, if they go for a case, they will demand for money. And if you don't have it, whether you are right or they will abandon you, or they will collaborate with that one that has money, then you lose your case. That is my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for your contribution. And don't be a stranger. You've been in recent times. Okay, so Lawrence, in wrapping up quickly.
Yeah, just like we have said, I think we need more hands, we need more involvement, we need more people to be committed to that selfless act of lending helping hands to people who are not as privileged as the rest of the society, and more of that, especially people outside the city centers, outside the urban centers, because some people languish for just lack of 5,000 naira. The end of sometimes, but Kemi, sometimes I wonder, why would you? Okay, let's take this call.
Hello, good morning, Kenton.
Good morning. I think this is Maiwa.
Yeah, this is Maiwa.
It's been a while, Maiwa.
Been a minute and a half.
It's been a while, Lawrence. Good morning.
Good morning.
This Buhari rule country, you have to be diligent and hustling everywhere, Okay, quickly, please.
Yes.
Permit me 1 minute to tell a story of what you are talking about there.
Please go ahead.
Several years ago, during service year, now I joined Nigeria Christian Corpus Fellowship, and I am the transport secretary.
Okay.
So I was driving out of the junction of the family house that we know. Now, I've already approached that T-junction and moved on the express for about almost a minute, moving on that road very well. And a car was coming with uncontrollable speed behind us. When that car saw us, it's supposed to apply brake, but it didn't. So there was a collision from the car to the back of our bus, and that accident happened. And then this car was being followed by a truck with military men. Immediately they stopped, carried us to the police station. That will make this summary. Before you know what is happening, I've already approached that road. The police connived with the military and indicted me and said I'm the one driving that is at fault. Before you knew what is happening, they stripped me naked and they put me behind bars. Now, immediately, my colleagues have to find a way to get somebody who has the number of the police commissioner of the state then, and they called the police commissioner and reported. And immediately, the police commissioner called the P of that branch and then cautioned them, and immediately they released me. Now, what I want to say to this is that the system itself is, we know it is corrupt, and then it tilts towards the people who has power and the rich. To me, the solution, we know we always have the solution. I think the Ministry of Justice can have a department, you understand? They can have a department of lawyers and barristers who goes to police stations and they do a free service for some of these people behind bars. Because like me, there are 1,001 millions of people behind bars unjustly by police, unjustly incarcerated. Some of them are spending 3, 4, 5 years. The other day I read a story of a lady who lied against a guy for rape and has been incarcerated for 21 years. It was after that 21 years the lady came out to say that she actually told a lie. You understand? Cases like that happen. But the Minister of Justice, to me, can also do more by having a department who advocates for this kind of people, and with that we can have a decongestion of prison and then police custody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayowa. Thank you for your call.
Boy, okay. Lawrence, looks like that's a good place to drop it this morning. At the end of the day, it's important. Lawrence, let's go have your last take on this.
Well, for me, Kama was asking, which is even better? Why would institutions detain somebody, maybe he's not able to pay 5,000 naira, and you detain him for 6 months, feed him, provide security for him for 6 months? Which would have been better?
That's it. It's a conversation that should continue beyond this place. Maybe when you get to your offices, you probably will want to, break it down to your colleagues and see what they have to say about this and how we can have a better and a fairer and, a better and a fairer criminal justice system. And it's interesting that you have to use better, fairer, talking about justice. That's it on this package. Lawrence, what's up for 10 o'clock?
Well, 10 o'clock, we will be having a presidential candidate on Insight. It's someone that you would really want to listen to. Please don't miss it at 10 o'clock.
All right. And, keep your fingers crossed for Talking Point. I'm supposed to have 2 people, but then we keep our fingers crossed as they are, the way it can be anytime sometimes. That's it. My name is Kemi Asheku. My loved ones call me Kem. Let us remember that a proper criminal justice system exacts justice, punishes criminals for their crimes, and rehabilitation and deterrence are worthy goals, but they are secondary to retribution. Stay with Citizen FM 93.7. In a few minutes, it will be time for the sports program. Do stay with us.